Thank you, Mr. Chair. General Saltzman, congratulations on your nomination. I want to ask you some questions about leveraging commercial space technology to ensure U.S. space dominance. In the run-up to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, our IC doubled its procurement of commercial satellite imagery to help prepare and provide intel to our Ukrainian allies. The IC was also able to leverage satellites operated by Virginia company Hawkeye 360 to detect jamming efforts that were being undertaken by the Russian military in the Donbass. This isn't the first time where commercial technologies have been leveraged in effective ways, but I think it's really hitting a warp speed. In your view, how important is leveraging innovative commercial technologies to preserve U.S. space dominance?
It's critically important, Senator. The idea, the mantra that we're using to, exploit what we have, get the most out of the systems that we've already paid for, but then also to consider how commercial capabilities, a broad spectrum of commercial capabilities, can contribute directly to our mission set and perhaps do it more cheaply than us building our own systems is essential. The final element would be when there are still gaps, as we look at our mission set, if there are still gaps, we might need to consider a specific military solution, military unique solution to that. But the commercial services, commercial capabilities are profoundly growing, and we need to take advantage of it, sir.
Let me ask you about one example of this. Last year, the Space Force approved experimentation and prototyping for a new tactical space layer that would leverage commercial satellite imagery to provide battle space awareness and bolster targeting capacity. What is the timeline for the development of this capacity so that our warfighters might be able to use satellite-based information in real time to make battlefield decisions?
Senator, I don't have a specific timeline. If it's okay, I'll take that for the record and get the specific timeline back to you. But I can tell you it's an important capability that we consider very seriously.
Excellent. Thank you. I will ask that for the record. Over to another topic, the increase in the number of commercial space launch providers, together with a substantial reduction in the cost of access to space, and then the proliferation of commercial constellations could create a kind of a traffic jam in the demand for launch services. And I imagine that demand could place significant challenges on federal launch ranges such as Vandenberg and Cape Canaveral. There are state spaceports, for example, the Mid-Atlantic Spaceport in Wallops Island, Virginia, that are being used significantly not only by private sector space operators but by NASA and others. What could the potential relationship be between Space Force and state space launch facilities be in the future?
Senator, assured access to space is a national imperative. As simple as that. And I believe that having agility, having flexibility in the types of capabilities that provide payloads to orbit, to all of the orbits, is essential. That means maximizing the number of launch providers as well as the amount of launch locations that are available to the nation. Currently, our capacity on our ranges meets the governmental needs, but with the proliferation of small satellites, that's going to change rapidly. And I think the number of launches is going to go up dramatically, and we're going to need to look at other opportunities. We're currently engaged in an interagency process to look at a national spaceport strategy, and I think the capabilities like at Wallops Island will naturally be a part of that discussion.
Should you be confirmed, and I'm confident you will be, I'd love to carry that discussion further. Let me ask you about one other topic. This is one that I'm kind of a nerd about. My favorite government publication is Orbital Debris Quarterly News, ODQN, that's published by NASA. It's getting more and more important because there's currently 4,500 active satellites in orbit. SpaceX has deployed more than 1,700 Starlink broadband satellites into low Earth orbit. And then last year, the FCC received from companies like Amazon, Astra, and Boeing petitions to put as many as 38,000 more broadband satellites in low Earth orbit. Are you concerned about how the proliferation of commercial investments could interfere or complicate national space needs? And do we need to look at international rules of the road, both about commercial use of space, but also about the handling of debris that can, a small amount of orbital debris can wreak havoc on a super expensive satellite platform?
I'm not concerned at this point about the traffic as you mentioned it. I am always concerned about debris. We're committed to making sure that we lead and model responsible behaviors in space, and I think that will help reduce the amount of debris associated with launch and other kinds of operations.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Chair.